Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a ridiculously awesome episode of the Crypto Gaming Institute podcast. I'm your host, Ben Gothard, and today we have the honor of speaking with the one, the only, correct creative director, futurist, and co-founder of Virtually Human, and creator of ZED Run, the one, the only, Chris. How you doing today, man?
Hey, buddy. I'm good, man. Thanks for having me. And yeah, excited to riff and talk shop.
Dude, so first of all, you're literally building a metaverse. Like you're creating it. You have been an inspiration to builders and founders everywhere to just show us like what is possible and how you can create something out of just like hard work and a good can-do attitude. So I just want to thank you first and foremost for being a role model for people trying to build the metaverse.
That's we don't believe it. It's humbling. It's a strong team behind it. Me and the co-founders. Our directors, Chris Laurent and Rob Sala. It's really their baby and their vision to start with. And I was humbled to be brought on board early on to help steer that vision and help contribute to the metaverse. You see, I think the thing is, and I think we're going to get into this, but I'll jump in there now, is the metaverse is going to be, we're all going to contribute to it. Everybody's going to have their say, just like the internet, right? It's just an extension of that, but in a visual three-dimensional space, with agency, with belonging, with utility, with your economics, right? Tokenomics and all that fuel behind it. But I think it's important to note that not one person's going to build the metaverse, not one company's going to own or build it. It's going to be built by all of us, just like the internet. So I'll start off with a little preachy rant there.
Hey, that's what we're here for.
But humbled and really, appreciate the kind words. We jumped in and we've still got a lot of work to do. We're going through growing stages now. We've been humbled by some financial support, which is going to take us even further and build bigger and build stronger and add to the contribution.
So I want to take a second, and I think we should brag on you and talk about like where y'all really are, because I'm not sure everybody can fully grasp it yet. So can you just kind of break down for us, like where are y'all really in the in your life cycle here? Like, how big and grand have you really built this to as of the time of this recording?
Well, where we are with ZED and so forget ZED for a second. We have Virtually Human Studios, which is the founding studio, which our first IP is ZED Run. Where we are, like, man, I say this time and time again, and we're still in the early stages. We're still, we're out of the dugouts, right? We're in the first innings, but and we've got work to do. Like, we've got big plans. Like, I'm dealing with a roadmap for 2022. We're making some insane. So we're going through this growing pains, right? Where it's bringing people on board, hiring some amazing talent, building up a team. I think it's important to note that we also have to remain humble and understanding where we are. Like, me and the co-founders have taken this ship to a really good place. But now we're at a point where it's like we've got finances now to be able to hire people who are smarter than us, who've done this before, who are better than us. Like, and that's a reality check, right? We have to be, we have to put our egos in check. So there's some really, really key hires coming in, and they're hitting the ground, and it takes time to gel, right? So we're in that kind of gelling period of, all right, we're bringing all these amazing people in, we're building out a foundation, we're restructuring internally. And then once we gel, it's like, I use basketball analogies all the time because I'm a big basketball fan, but you can have all the talent on one team, but you need to have synergy, right? You need to have teamwork, communication, you need to have processes, understanding, shared understandings. And that's where we are now. The product's improving, but again, if you look at the product now today, you can go, oh man, like, they should be doing this, they should be doing that. And we know we're well aware of what we should be doing, and we are doing that. But we have to take that holistic step back and also go look bigger picture, right? We're trying to build a product for the masses. We're not just building for 50,000 users. We're building for 1 million users. We want to be global. Yeah, billions if we can, right? I'll be humble and I'll say million first, but thank Thank you, Ben. But no, like, so that's really the approach that we have to take. And, while we don't move as fast as we ourselves want to, we have to also just, understand that patience is virtue and that these things take time. And right, like, again, cliche, Rome wasn't built in a day kind of stuff, right? It takes time to build what we're trying to build. And, there's some great examples out there. And I'm not saying that we're Google, but, it took Google 7 years to get out of beta. So,
Right.
we're 3 years and a bit in, and we got work to do. And we're excited and we're challenged every day and we're pushing ourselves hard. So,
All right. I know you're being super humble right now. But literally, like, what y'all have built is one of the biggest metaverse projects in the world right now. Like, let's be clear about it. Like, y'all have done something amazing here.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. But again, I can't help but be humble because for us, it's like we've been doing it for 3 years, right? We've been in our bedrooms, we've been a startup, small team, and grinding, and we all take risks, and I think that's something that I'll preach is there is no innovation without risk, right? You need to take risks, and we, myself and the founders and the team that we were able to build, were risk takers, and we decided to jump full in and put in the hard yards. Anything worth building is hard work, and yeah, it paid off. Like, and it's a bit of timing. I've said this before in different like podcasts or whatnot and talks. It's when Beeple and NBA Top Shots, right? That kind of, when that hit the news, then through NBA Top Shots and people then noticed Zed and were like, hey, what are these guys doing, right? And then all of a sudden it was like, holy shit, okay, these guys, they're bringing in that gamification utility, you know what I mean? Like that extra layer of gaming with NFTs. And so, yeah, since then it's been a rocket ship. It's been just going crazy, gangbusters, and it's a good problem to have.
Oh, an amazing one to have. That's the best
Yeah,
kind.
exactly. 100%.
So I would really love, and I'm absolutely going to jump back in a second. But I just want to, we're on a good thing right here. I love that you decided to build on Polygon because, there are some beginner audience members here. So Polygon is an L2 scaling solution for ETH. Way more bandwidth for actually like operating and doing things and playing a game, for example, than ETH, because ETH has prohibitive gas fees. So I think y'all really saw the future in the fact that you have to build on more scalable solutions to actually run a game. And Polygon is a great thing because it already is at scale, and they're one of the biggest contenders to be one of the best ZK rollup projects out there. So I love that. On Polygon, though, are you not one of the biggest, if not the biggest, metaverse project on Polygon?
I would have to check the facts on that, but I think so. Yeah, we were definitely the first. So that was again, and that's a testament to our tech team, our dev team, our CTO, that we spotted these, we identified, and we knew that we had to jump into this partnership and this agreement with Polygon. And of course, that was again, taking risks, no risk, no reward, jumping in, being innovative, being brave enough to do it. But yeah, it's been amazing, super scalable. Love the gasless transactions, and we love also the eco-friendliness of it. And then, yeah, I don't know if we are the top, but I think so, maybe.
Totally. I
totally.
really think
Okay,
you
good.
are. Yeah.
Good. You gotta remember my focus as the creative director is more on pixels than code. You know what I mean?
Totally.
So while we haven't, of course, I know what the team's doing and I'm on top of it, but I'm all about the visuals and the agency and the future tech and the metaverse and how we're gonna be, emotionally connected in that space and yada yada yada. So some big things there.
And you're super humble. I mean, it's taken me 10 minutes to drag out that y'all are the biggest on Polygon.
But, yeah. Well, look.
Love it.
Yeah, we don't brag. We just do work, man.
That's what I'm here for. I'm here to brag.
Yeah.
For you.
Thank you. Thank you. I don't know. I'm blushing. I feel feel awkward now. I'm getting all fidgety. No, it's cool.
All good.
Appreciate it.
We're having fun. So let's hop
Absolutely.
back now that we've established that, y'all are one of the best out there, the biggest, the best, a pioneer in the space. I want to hone in on more of your story and understand, like, how did you get to this spot? How did you get to be in this incredible position that you are?
Yeah.
Where did you start? How did you get here? Because I know you've done amazing things before in the
Yeah.
past, and I will brag on you for the
Yeah,
past.
I know you will. I know. Well, look, this is a thing I can talk about easily, right? This is my life. And it's funny, like I have this conversation a lot, and people are like, "How did you get to where you are?" And it's like, it's only in retrospect that I can see the decisions that I made, and try to kind of think about, okay, what did they lead to, right? I never knew that I was going to be in this position, like, and I think, there's a thing of self-awareness and being in the moment, and understanding that opportunities will come and they will go, and taking them and seizing them. And when you open one door, another closes, but if you close one, another opens, right? And that's kind of and if you look back at your life, then you'll be able to trace back and say, oh, I remember that point when I made that decision and tried those things, and now that I'm using that in my job today here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it really started out, I was a digital artist, like, and I started late. I started as a 25-year-old as a digital artist. I was lucky enough to do a traineeship on a feature film here in Sydney, Australia, which was Knowing, with the Nicolas Cage movie. Alex Proyas directed it, Australian director. Half of the movie's good until those kind of creepy aliens come and and it makes no sense. But anyway, super visual effects, really awesome. And I got my foot in the door as a junior artist, and doing junior compositing and rotoscoping. So with my background in animation and the 3D background I had, like, a lot of it is self-taught as well. But I did a year at a school. I always thought I was going to get into games because I'm a gamer. I still game when I can. It's harder now when you've got running a company or co-running a company and you got 3 kids. But I'll get some games in every now and then with them. But I've always thought I was getting into games. I got into film. Film was great because film teaches you so much about fidelity and, like, really top notch. And there's processes involved there. And so from compositing, I always knew I wanted to be an animator. I got moved into animation. And I think if this is part of the podcast, is educating people or giving them hints in life, I always came with a good attitude to work, right? I always, it doesn't matter what they told me to do. I knew that there was a bigger picture at play in terms of, if you're nice to work with and you have a can-do attitude and you deliver, people will want to work with you, right? And it doesn't matter. Exactly. And it doesn't matter if you're a sushi maker, a baker, or a builder, or a gardener. Like, these are core concepts of soft skills, right? And so, later on in life, I was an educator, for innovation and creative, like, incubators. And there the rules were, and I learned this from one of my animation mentors, actually, was turn up on time, deliver all your work, and don't be a dick. Like, those are the 3 rules, and I hope we can swear on your podcast, because I will.
Of
swear.
course.
Okay, but those are kind of the 3 rules that I kind of live by. And then also opportunity. You don't know what you have until you tried it, right? You don't know what it is until you tried it. So through my career, jumping from one movie to a layout department in 3D, an assembly department, which is more, you don't do all the cool stuff on digital, but you get to sit in these big meetings with directors and supervisors. And so only in retrospective can I see what those meetings meant to me today, because now I'm in that position and I understand how to break down a frame, a movie, whether it's a game, like what it takes to make each asset and how much time it takes to make each little component. So again, only in retrospect can I see that. But then I jumped through there. I became an animator. Animation I loved, right? So animation, the illusion of life, bringing inanimate objects and giving them life, whether it's a watch or it's this guy Pumbaa, or whatever it is, or Lego characters, right? So and I spent a lot of time there. I really enjoyed that craft. I really enjoyed the creativeness of animators, the storytelling, the positioning, and the rules of composition and narrative, and how you kind of visualize that on a screen, how you draw people's eyes to a certain moment in a movie, like how you control the audience. So, and then fidelity as well, like bringing things to life and making these worlds come to life, making these worlds real, right? So I got to work on a
It's easy
lot.
to see you're not that passionate about it. I would
Yeah,
think.
exactly, right? Exactly. I'm still very, I don't know if I can call myself an animator today, just because I've been doing this kind of creative directing for so long now, and like I've taken a step back, and now I give feedback to animators, and I look at their work, and I assess it, and I criticize it, and I give them feedback and tell them, okay, maybe if you try this and that, and so the experience comes through there.
But you wouldn't have been able to do all that now if you hadn't had all that experience before, which is kind of what I think you were saying.
100%. So there's one line that I love, and it's experience is your best teacher. Right? It all comes back to that. Like, you can read all the books you want, you can go and take all those diplomas and get those, nice papers and masters and whatnot. But if you're not putting that into work, right? If you're not putting that into work, and you're not making an experience out of and getting that experience of what it means to do it, then it doesn't really come to fruition, right? It's not really going to give you that. You got to learn from your mistakes. You got to learn from everything, right? So yeah, experience is your best teacher. Coming back there, so I did a lot of animating. I did then moved into creative directing. So I worked on a slate of movies, and then game trailers, and also games on the side. And another hint or thing I would say to listeners who are out there, I always had a side hustle. And you'll see this now. ZED was a side hustle to me at one point in my life, right? Like, I will always be working on a movie, and I'll honor the contract, and I'll honor the job 110%, right? I would always give my all, but there's always more time in the week, right? And then instead of sitting down and playing Netflix or playing video games, which I still did, I'll find time. Like, you can always make time, right? I feel like, but I would take on other jobs. Like, so if I've been animating on Lego movies for like 2 years straight, I'd be tired of Lego. So I might maybe take on a side gig for another company after hours or weekends, and work on other cool animations with creatures and cool things like that. So I get that kind of mix. So I'm not just stuck in Lego world, but I get a bit broader horizon for my skill, and I keep honing my craft. So there's that as well. And I think everybody who's anything in this industry or in the creative industry have always done that. They've always had that, extra mile attitude. So from film, I actually got headhunted to come and build a university. This would be 6 years ago, or five, yeah, 2000. No, it's 5 years ago. So 2017 or 16, 17 at the turn there. I got asked to come and head up an academy at the Technical University in Sydney, which focused on, innovation and creativeness, taking master students, like there was a master's degree, and then making them not just do cool high fidelity film work or game work, but making them think about, okay, where do these crafts and these processes transfer into the future, right?
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so like using AR, VR, machine learning, virtual production, which is a film technique used in The Mandalorian, new pipeline techniques. So, I managed to hire a really creative or really strong technical director as well, who helped, and we created an amazing pipeline using this Pixar USD format. And because we were in this university space with quote unquote unlimited funds, which we didn't have, but we had great funds, great tools at our disposal, great setup, and I still miss the studio there. It was amazing. And then we didn't have clients breathing down our neck saying this is what we want. We were actually free to create from the ground up. And so
That's
what
the
we
best.
did was and just to come back to the soft skills part as well, what we did was also we changed. Oh, here's my wife. Hello.
With a coffee.
Thank
Sorry.
you. With a coffee. There you go. the pleasures of working at home.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, she's gonna be famous now.
Shout out.
Shout out to Kristen Barber, the one that makes this all possible for me.
That's right.
But no, so what we did there as well at the university was we focused on team working. Like, you can be the best artist, you can be the best like digital artist, or coder or whatever, but if you can't work in a team, right? Mm-hmm. Look at the credits on a movie, look at the credits in a game. There's 500, 600 people. So if we're setting you up for these kind of futures, you need to be able to jump in and have the soft skills to turn up on time, deliver all your work, don't be a dick. And that means you got to be able to handle criticism, give criticism constructively, humbly, again, my humility is part of that, like it's okay. Yeah, I do get angry too, don't get me wrong. There is a limit. Just ask my wife and kids. Sorry. But no, you know what I mean? Like there comes a time and a place, but I also think that it's really important that people have to have fun doing the work they do. I really believe that you got to enjoy, like if you come to Monday and you're thinking about the weekend, you need to rethink about what you're doing, right? And so I want you to come to Monday and think about, fuck, I can't wait to jump in and create, problem solve these creative technical challenge together with my team, right? Great people doing great things. And if they're in a good mood and if they're in a good place, they will do better work, right? So there's a
on
lot
that
of
point,
that.
I want to hop in real quick on that.
Please hop in, because I'll
I
talk.
think that's literally so important, is to love what you're doing so much that you don't say TGIF, it's TGIM. Like it's not thank goodness it's Friday. No, like I get sad because I schedule interviews Monday to Friday. Like I miss it on on the Saturday, Sunday, because how often do you get to talk to incredible people like you, have wicked fun conversations and share that with the world? Like, I mean, I really feel like I'm in paradise. So like to be so excited for Monday, it's like, all right, let's go. You still enjoy the weekends, and you do your stuff on the weekends too, but it's like to be that excited and that pumped up and that juiced on life and your work, like that's the dream. That's totally the dream.
Agree. And it's I think the late great Kobe Bryant said it as well, and I really respect that, is you got to find something you're passionate about. Totally. Because when you find that passion, like he is, like obviously basketball was his, and he just went in 1,000,000% above and beyond, right? And it's the same. Yeah, what an inspiration. Yeah, what an amazing guy. And the same he did when he was going into his next chapter of his life, which was the creative sector, right? And won an Oscar and all that. I mean, he always put himself into these places of passion, right? And it's the same thing, and that's what I want for my kids is just you need to just try these different things, but find something that you're passionate about, because then you won't, again, cliche, if you find something you're passionate about, you won't have to work another day in your life.
That's right.
Because you don't have to call it work. It's a passion. It's your hobby. It's what you want to do, right? And it's important when you're spending 50 to 60 hours or 40 to 50 hours a week on these things,
or hundreds.
Or hundreds. Yeah,
gotta love it.
Exactly. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. You gotta love it. And there will be days. So again, it's not all rainbows and butterflies or roses and petals, right? There's gonna be peaks and troughs, right? And there is, right, inevitably. But as long as those peaks outweigh the troughs, you're there, man. It's balance, right?
I love that.
Yeah. And so
I actually think there's like a really totally uncool like group of people who have the uncool thought process. The people are always cool, but the thought process of like, oh, I'm just gonna do this for now to get to where I want to go, but it's like it's work. Like I really truly do not feel like right now, technically, this is work. But does this feel like work? This feels like fun. This feels like
you're just shooting the shit.
Exactly. And it's like it feels like like I feel like we're playing right now. Like we get to have fun, come joke around on here and dive into your story. But it's like people are like, I feel like they don't believe me. A large group of people, they don't believe me when I say that. They're like, yeah, but really, you are working. I'm like, no, but really, like I'm not. It's just fun.
Yeah. It's balance, and it's I just hope people find the fun in what they do. So there's a part to that where it's like, I know, again, those jobs I took, again, if I'm talking about my career, like going in and working as a junior compositor, I kind of knew inside my heart of hearts I didn't want to be a compositor, but at the same time I was always like, yo, I get to learn this stuff. I get to sit around these people. I get to be, in the breaks, like, and I truly did this in the lunch breaks. I got to go and talk to the animators and seek out these people and show them my animations and get feedback and find mentors, right? It was just natural to me that was what I wanted to do. But in retrospect, I can see how that's paved the path, right? But and then I guess my word of advice is find that fun in the everyday things you do, whether whatever your job is. There's got to be these passion points, and those you can extrapolate and you can focus on, and you can really inhale and appreciate, right? And I think that's super important because, fuck, man, we're, how many breaths of life do we have left on this earth, right?
Seriously.
What do you want to do with them? What are you going to do with your 60,000 or 6 million breaths of life, right? And so, you find the good stuff, focus on the positive. The glass is always half full, right? And try to flip that switch. Again, that's easier said than done. So I'm not here to be that kind of guy.
Well, I mean, it's still like, that's the goal. That's the pursuit.
That is the goal. Yeah, I think so. It's
totally.
so.
I agree.
So if you want to go back on the road, so I was doing this university course for 3 years. It was awesome. So
wait, actually, I want to.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I know I keep interrupting you.
You go.
But I would love for you to kind of share the group of projects that you did work on before you went into more of the teaching mode.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I'll try to go it from the beginning. The first was like Knowing, which is Nicolas Cage, Knowing, Alex Proyas. Awesome movie. Again, what I learned from there was, again, just to work in movies and what it meant. Met a lot of great people, mentors. Again, I did my side hustle of animating. So I'd go home and animate, bring that in, show people. And my supervisor then noticed that, of course, and he was awesome. Vaughn, big shout out to Vaughn Arnott. And so when my time was up on Knowing, then I worked a bit on Australia. What's it called? I think it's Baz Luhrmann, and it was Hugh Jackman and Nicole Kidman. Did a bit on that. But then the time, contracts run out, and they were like, well, look, we know we want to keep you as a compositor because we like working with you, and you can do this, but we know where your passion is, and we want to kind of honor that. There's a position over here on this movie called Legends of the Guardians, Owls of Ga'Hoole, which I called the Owl movie, but in short, Guardians of Ga'Hoole, which was Zack Snyder's first animated movie. And I was like, sweet, they moved me over. I got into this assembly department there. And again, working as a layout artist, I wasn't animating, but I had access to all these rigs, these animation rigs. So what did I do in my spare time? I took the rigs and I animated them. And then I would go and to seek out the supervisor and go, yo, and this is actually a good friend of mine, Alex Waite, shout out to him. But he was a mentor early on. I'll say, yo, Alex, man, look, I'm doing these things. He'd give me feedback. And then guess what? When they were looking for animators, they went, well, why do we need to look outside? Chris is over here. We can bring him in. So then I slotted from there. I went into animation, and then I got my first junior animation position. And, again, all this can-do attitude, work hard, put your head down, listen, learn, observe, always be learning. Met some amazing people there. Worked on this Owl movie with a lot of talent, man, crazy amounts of talent. Like you pinch yourself when you sit around these people, right? And when that finished up, then there was Happy Feet 2 was being shot in Sydney with George Miller. And so I put my ring in the hat for that as an animator. They didn't have an animation position. So this is, again, a fork in the road where it was like many animators would go, no, I just want to animate. But they said, well, we have these motion editor positions, which is motion mocap. So a lot of this stuff is mocap. On Happy Feet, it's people in suits dancing. And then you get that data and you clean it up and you polish it off. And again, like I said before, is like I hadn't tried that before. And so I was like, yeah, sure, let's do it. It's a job, it's a foot in the door. I'm going to learn something. I got to play with new softwares that they use, like this software called Giant System Nuance, which they used at Weta Digital on the Lord of the Rings movies and all that. So I was like, hey, I can see I'm positioning myself for something here if that comes along. Worked on that again. Happy Feet 2, not the greatest movie.
Wait, but I really like that movie. Hold on.
Oh, you do? Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, Brett, bless you.
Thank you. You helped build it.
It did, yeah. But getting to meet guys like Rob Coleman, who was the animation director there. So Rob Coleman's old ILM, Oscar nominated. Lucas, like he was George Lucas's right hand man on those Star Wars movies, the later ones. So like meet people like him. Met some great friends as well. Got to meet George Miller, amazing, humble director. Then from there, when that finished up, there was actually a fork in the road there. Then I was actually offered a job with this gambling aristocrat. I think they might call it aristocrats. Anyway, they did casino machines and stuff, and there was a lot of money. And it was like, yeah, okay, I can see this. I've got kids. I got young kids, and I was really torn. But at the same time, then I was like, that's just not me, man. I want to be creative, and I still got so much to do in this space where it's storytelling and a bit more, morally. I kind of went fast forward today, and when I'm doing digital horses, all right, I can see and I'll tell you why. I can see the hypocrisy there. I'll get to that. I'm aware. I'm aware, bro. But at that point in time, I was still like not content with what I'd done. So I went and worked on this TV animation called Figaro Faux, which I don't know if they aired over there, but it was about this kid who had all these phobias. Again, the learning experience there was from being an animator on film, where you're allowed to do six seconds a week, to doing now churning out 30 seconds a week. So what that did is like I had to change my process and approach to animation. I had to be much quicker in selling your idea, blocking your shots, and selling it to the director, and then just go, right? And that's why you see TV quality animation compared to film quality animation. Budgets aren't the same, and so the quality is also low. It's not Pixar anymore, right? You don't get that time to finesse and iterate. Again, learned a lot doing that. Again, it changed my whole kind of view and perception on how you prepare for a shot and how you sell your shot quicker. Then I moved to actually really important. Then there was a lull in the industry in Australia. Lull. It died because of there's some changes in the. I think there was an economic crash. So it was supposed to be these big movies coming out, and this is how it always works. They're supposed to come out, but then something changes, and then they had to move somewhere else because of tax incentives, right? And so I was in a lull, and I still had to supply for my family. What I did was go work in a fucking warehouse for like a month, right? I worked in a picking and packing, bro. So it's like reality check, right? Like really appreciate what you're doing as a digital artist, but hey, if it dries up, you gotta hustle, you gotta make bread. I had 2 kids at the time to feed, and a wife, and gotta put a roof over their head. So I was getting up at 4:30 in the morning, driving to a warehouse, lifting like, I think it was like 2 tons a day they said we were lifting. Wow. Picking and packing shit, and I did that for almost a month, and then I was like, a couple of weeks in, I was like, I can't do this. So I hit up, and luckily the Great Gatsby was looking for people in compositing, right? And I had done compositing. So again, there was an animation role, but I could go back and help in the compositing line. So I went back and I did that again. Awesome fun. Loved the team. Back with my old supervisor, and just again relearning new tools, because every year the tools change, and gradually it moves on. So come back, you do that, and then the Lego movies were coming. Right. And so I was already in position again to go and have those chats, and they had already slated me in for the Lego movie. Luckily, I'd done a test back in the day for them, which was awesome. And shout out to Matt DeMuro, who helped me with the test, another mentor I had, super cool guy, super talented animator. He's over in San Fran now. But again, yeah, surrounding yourself with mentors, another important thing, people that you can lean on when you need some feedback. Then I got to go on the Lego movie early on, and that was a blast. Best project ever. We had a animation director. So it's Phil Lord and Chris Miller, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatball guys, 21 Jump Street, also Spider-Verse, they're involved with that. One of them is, I think, both. Anyway, insanely in tune, in check guys, funny, and then Chris McKay, shout out to him as well, animation director off Robot Chicken. Like if you've watched Robot Chicken,
that's one of my favorite shows of all time. Actually.
Exactly. Same. Like I'm a Robot Chicken, Monty Python, South Park guy. Like I know that stuff doesn't fly in this PC culture at the moment, but for some reason
I don't give a shit.
Yeah. And Mel Brooks too. I share the birthday with Mel Brooks, and Blazing Saddles is one of my favorite movies of all time. It's ridiculous. But again, in this day and age, I think it's just bring it back. Anyway, that's where we are now. But anyway, so got to work with these amazing people. And the thing with the Lego movie was that it was a challenge, because people went, how are you going to make these Legos feel real and have emotional connection and whatnot? And Chris Miller and Phil Lord, like they were really busy with the, I think 21 Jump Street, or the second one, 21 and a half, whatever it was called, 22 Jump Street, forget what the name was. So then Chris McKay had to kind of step in and was the director as well as animation director. And this was his first rodeo at that kind of scene. And what was so cool about what he did was he was so collaborative. So he would have viewings of the script and viewings of the movie and the cut and the edit, and he would have our feedback. and you could write him and say, yo, Chris, I think this is, and he would take on these changes that you were just a part of this. You felt like you were part of this process. Plus, we were just doing something that hadn't been done before, was bringing these Legos to life, but without like respecting them, respecting, I've got her here, but respecting that they are, they can't bend and squash and stretch. Like, they are Legos. You can only, so the brief was kind of like, imagine Michael Bay in a basement with unlimited Legos. What movie would he tell?
Right.
But they had to feel real and have that stop motion aesthetic, right? So we had to trick the viewer, the audience. So we animated on twos, and we made animation look kind of staccato and rough. It was all part of that illusion. And so when the best feeling, I think, was when the first trailer came out and dropped. This was the first time the world got to see it. And then seeing the comments, seeing people like, oh, this is stop motion. No, it's CG. Oh, look at the fingerprints. Look at the scratches. No, it's real Legos and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, it's the movie was like 90% CG, except for those scenes with Will Ferrell and his kid in the basement, right? So that, again, as a creator and an artist, that's the feeling that you love, is the response to a product that you've made, similar to that response that you have to ZED Run, which really appreciate. But like that's what it's about as creators, I think, and innovators. It's seeing what it does for people, and so once that trailer hit, we were just like, fucking, this is awesome. And I got to work with some amazing like stop motion people. We hired people from Aardman, who do all those Wallace and Gromit and those kind of pirate movies, which are authentic stop motion. And they had got trained up into 3D, so they could bring that aesthetic and that process to the movie, so to give it even more authenticity. And just had a blast, man. That was so much fun. And to work with voice actors like Will Ferrell and Liam Neeson, Chris Pratt, what a great cast.
Incredible.
I mean, we never got to meet them because they do their shooting.
But you worked with them.
Well, we collaborated without knowing that we did. So Will Ferrell, if you ever see this, please hit me up, because I'm a big fan. But you know what I mean? Like, we got the voice recordings sent to us, and then we sat with them and we looked at them, like, because they were doing that in LA, we're in Sydney. And so we collaborated by just mimicking their mannerisms and taking on their performance from those voice booths and putting them hand keying them onto Legos, and then having some creative license, of course, because you got to move the rest of the body and also tell the story.
So I want to hop in here for a second, because clearly, like, you spent a significant amount of time building these skills, cutting your teeth, working with incredible people, building an incredible portfolio. That's really what I wanted to shine the light on was, and I'm glad you were dropping some real names and real project names here, because, it's just it's important. So from this now foundation, I feel like we know you a little bit better.
Yes.
Let's talk about how you went from this whole world to get into the world of really pioneering crypto gaming. Yeah.
All right. So long story short, did the movies. Then I went into that university. In the university sector, I got to play with emerging technologies, right? So that's where your future focus, your future thinking. How can we create, applications or applications or digital experiences using new tech? Because again, when Apple released their glasses in 2022, they just announced they're going to release glasses in the end of 2022. Once Apple released that, everybody's going to consume them, right? Just like they do with the watches and the phones. And then a call for content is needed. So I feel like we've done our job by establishing the academy like that. We're preparing content makers of the futures now to fill the gap and the need there, right? So that's what that was all about. While I was at the university, Chris and Rob hit me up. And this again comes back to the side hustle thing. They hit me up. They had this idea. I was dabbling in blockchain. I knew what it is. I got in around late 2016, and I had known what CryptoKitties is. I was seeing all these kind of phenomenons, and I was like, I didn't really know what NFTs were, but I understood the core concepts. Chris and Rob, I had worked with them. We skipped this, but I'd worked with them on a side hustle project back in the day, a Sumo Boy, a game we tried to get off the ground, which we may or may not bring back. We still talk about it. And they hit me up and they said, "Look, Chris has got this idea." And Chris had gone, and he lives in a wine country, which is also horse breeding country. And he'd been and the story goes, he was in a Chinese takeaway shop, and he saw a poster, and it said $15,000 for a horse, and he was like, $15,000 to buy a horse? That's interesting. And he looked closer, just like, no, to breed with a horse. And he was like, ah. And then he went, crypto kitties, horses, blockchain. And he's like, all right, he gets Rob on the call. Him and Rob are like mastermind hustlers. Like they've been in the startup space a lot, right? And I owe a lot to them. So respect to those two guys. And they then called me up because they knew we'd worked together before, and I turned up on time and delivered my work. I wasn't a dick. And so it all comes back. It's good. And they also knew I was working in the innovation space, right? And they're like, yo, we need somebody, creative director, someone with a vision, someone who can help. Like, we've got this idea, come on board, you take care of the 3D side and the visual side, and we'll form a relationship. And then on the side, they had reached out to Jeff Wellman, who was our CTO, and formed that. So we were having meetings. I remember I was at the college. They would come over to the college. I'd come down, have a cafe, would have meetings, talk shop, synergize, agree that, this is something we want to do, agree that I want to work with them and figure it out. And so it started off as a side hustle. I would do it on weekends and nights, built up a prototype, and we pitched it. And so we were in this pitching stage. We got our first injection, through the unicorn people and some other people, which was then put the fork in the road to say, shit, I can do this full time. I'd been at the university for 3 years. I established a really good foundation. I love that place, but I also felt like, you've been preaching, you've been talking the talk. Now it's time for me to go out and walk the walk. And I was getting all these ideas we had brewing in that university. So cool, man. There's still some there that I really want to kind of go back and go, yo, what are you going to do with that? Like, that was an awesome idea. So hopefully they bring life back into them. But then, to be able then to make the decision and say, okay, now I'm going full-time ZED. And that was, early 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I think. Yeah. 2019, 2020. I have to look at that calendar. Long story short, here we are, man. Here we are now, right? Like, and then we got that funding, that first funding. We were able to build a little team, and we were able to just kind of push and drive. And and then we got discovered.
Let's talk about that moment of traction, right? Because that is such a magical moment. And when you feel it, it's like, it's one of the best things ever, right? We're like, So what was that moment where you were like, okay, we hit, this is real. Yeah. I'm literally about to change the world right now. And like, what was really the catalyst that led to that point?
I think the catalyst was, we believed in it from the beginning, right? And to, again, we took risks, all of us, but the fact to be able to jump ship from a really cruisy, for myself, to jump from a really cruisy, but a really well-paid university job, with some people, and this is true story, some people said, oh, you got a real job now. Like, come on now. these are older people, but it was just so funny, like, because I've always been looked at, oh, I'm just freelancing and jumping around and I'm a creative. Ooh, he's never, but now it's like, all right, my wife's just gonna grab something.
Sorry.
Second shout out. Welcome to the show.
Second shout out. You're gonna be on a podcast, you know that, right? Yeah.
Thank you. Hi.
Hi. Yeah, thank you. The dog wants to come in too. Anyway, yeah, we'll play it like that.
The more the merrier.
See you. Bye. She's great. Yeah, she's good. Where were we? We were, the catalyst moment was, it was a risk, right? But we believed in it from the beginning. So once you jump in and you do this, you just go 110% or 130%, right? And that's Rob and Chris's DNA. That was our DNA. It's like, we got to make it work now. We knew it would work, but we weren't experienced when that, like, when the heat dropped and the awareness, like, we weren't really ready, man. Like, when people noticed us, we were like, oh fuck, shit, we gotta fucking, like, the people want this now, right? And you will know from the history of ZED, we tried to do all these drops and stuff like that, where we had some successful drops, we had some less successful drops, we had some really bad drops, and we had some makeup drops, and so on and so forth. And it's just like, we're not a drop mechanic machine. That's not our game. We're not a drop game. Like, our whole idea, we had these horses on the market for ages, right? And some people were buying them and not. You could get a Z10 for $20. You could have got a Z1 for like $800 back then, right? All of a sudden,
and just for reference, what are those worth today?
Oh man, like Z1s are like 30 grand off the shelf, right? But there's some that are selling in the second market for, what did he sell for? One sold for, there was a stable of horses that sold for $1.7 million, I think. And
That's
like a stable of,
incredible.
yeah, it's crazy. And there's, I think the highest grossing was, oh, fuck, I've lost the number. I used to have it, but I think it's like 200 grand or something like that for a horse, right? But
Wow.
so if you'd gotten in there and bought them, you know, there's and the pricing and the value of these, it varies, of course, as we
Of
go and as
course.
the market, right? Like just like the market, right? But at the end of the day, we've got this long-term vision and this long-term plan that we know we're gonna give value back. We're so adamant on that. We've got this amazing plan ahead, and it's gonna be amazing. But where was I in that story then? Yeah, the catalyst was we got noticed by mainly North America. I think it's a lot of the Top Shot people, like that whole frenzy, and then the Beeple frenzy, and that kind of just put focus on us. We got noticed. Ended up getting into articles. You know, New York Times did a write up on us, and we got a lot of PR just organically. And yeah, man, here we are. Now we just had a, you know, months ago we had a successful Series A raise, which is again super humbling. But now we have the funds to do what we need to do, and
And
that's
can you share the like the valuations based on that raise? I don't want to go anything confidential, get you in trouble at
no.
all.
It's all out there. I think the valuation is like our raise was 20 million US dollars, and I think that put us as a valuation of 110 million at the
That's
moment, which
amazing.
is, yeah, it's silly. And I man, I'm still in my bedroom, bro. Like that's why my wife had to jump in and out. Like seriously, like we're not, like none of that is you know, you should see my desk. It's a fucking mess.
But
But
still,
no,
but
but
still,
no, it's
congratulations.
thank you. It's super humbling, and we're putting all that to work, man. Like we're building this team. We're escalating, and we're scaling, and we are, you know, we need to make sure that this foundation is strong and build for growth. And so our focus is on that right now. And shit, we got so many plans, man. If you want to talk metaverse, I'll go there. But it's, yeah,
That's
there's a lot coming.
that's exactly where I was going to go next. I would love to
Yeah,
hear like what's the grand plan, and if you could kind of weave into there like the why, like the secret sauce of
yeah,
what really is driving it, and why you chose to go in that direction.
yeah. All right. So the grand plan is Zed Run is an ecosystem. All right. It's an ecosystem, and it has to be controlled by the people. Right. It's decentralized. We need to give utility back to the horse owners, the stable owners. The future is going to look, man, we got some things coming. I can't drop them all
Of
because
course.
because it is like confidential, and one thing that we have to be careful of as a business is, of course, over promise and under deliver,
Of
right?
course.
And but we still can be transparent, and I can always give you my vision, and then I'm not going to just give you any timelines on it. But and
That
then when I
works.
say when I say my vision, it's the team's vision too, and it really is all about this enhanced emotional connection between you and a digital asset as well, right? But also giving you agency and utility to actually, you know, make, it's going to be the future of jobs, right? And we've already seen, you know, a lot of Z horse stable owners make money and a living out of this ecosystem. Adding to that, we're going to add, you know, this skin. We've got skins out there and skin utility, which means, you know, there's this extra layer of art and NFT and identification and customization, which is another economy that's going to be put on top. You know, one day we would love people to perhaps design their own skins and be a part of that. And then so think about where that can take them in terms of, if you're a hot designer and we give you the tools to do so, what can you make, right? What can you then do, and what economy can you then generate? Track ownership, not only just, you know, owning a horse, which is, so let's say you own, there's a horse called Steph Curry, really good horse. He's a really good player, man. He's fucking the best basketball player right now.
Totally.
I'm like, just, I'm a fan of basketball. I'm a big
I'm
LeBron
a
James.
Pelicans fan, and
Oh
even
yeah.
I can admit he's on fire.
Oh look, and I'm a
It's
LeBron
unreal.
James fan, and so I'm not a team because I jump around. But what Steph is doing is just incredible, man. Holy fuck! Like yeah. If he wins another ring this year, I'm putting him in the top 5. I don't care. You can come at me. I don't care. Come at me, man. Who
We'll
am I
race
taking on?
about
I
it.
don't know. Yeah. Anyway, so if you have that horse, then you have a great horse. If you have a stable of horses, you're now like a coach of a horses. Let's say you're Phil Jackson, right? A great coach, or yeah. If you own a track, you now are like more of a Mark Cuban, where you have to think about events, what kind of customization you want to make out of that track. You know, again, look at what games are doing today, and then just peel back that and bring it over. There's a lot of talk about, of course, and it's a logical next step. It's just about when, and we're not going to say that yet. But also tokenization, right? An economy, like our own token that sits within the game for a real play to earn experience. I mean, that is something that has to happen. It has to happen for that economy, if you will. But then think about all the play to earn elements you can now add. And if you're a gamer and you play things like Fortnite, or you play Call of Duty or Rocket League, you know, think about the battle pass element. Think about all these little side objectives that now can unlock value and also create retention, but also create, you know, activation. But then you unlock them, and then you earn tokens or skins or unlock whatever attributes, things that you can then. So this is it's a lot, right? It's a lot. And I haven't even talked about the VR components, the augmented reality components, the mixed reality, again targeting these future devices, Apple's glasses, right? You know, we want to see, and you can do this. Like, we've had some chats with people, which is really exciting. I mean, they're just preliminary chats, by the way, but having events where you put on like the HoloLens, the Microsoft HoloLens 2, and you see the horses just racing above the, like, you got the Las Vegas Strip there, but you look up and then there's a suspended fucking racetrack, and they're just going boom, boom. The tech is there, right? It's just whether it's the right time right now, right? But again, yeah, auctions, man, like using, and then okay. So another thing is, what ZED really does well is it brings people together, and you'll see it on our community, in communities online, right? All these people are coming together and they're rallying about the project as well. They're also, you know, we're angry with us when we don't deliver what we, you know, what they think we should be delivering, and that's cool because that's passion, and it's feedback, and we you know, we observe, we listen, but we don't react. We don't overreact. We understand, and you know, to be honest, a lot of the stuff that they're angry about, like I'd say 90% of it, we are well aware, and we are working on it, right? Like, we know what we're doing. It doesn't seem that way to some.
Yeah, but things don't ship in a day. Like, it takes a while to, like, from somebody
Dude,
saying, here is the issue that I have, until you pressing go on your end and that issue being fixed. There's
yeah,
like an enormous process, especially
exactly,
at the scale that y'all already are. Like, it doesn't
exactly.
happen instantly. So I actually think it's a really good approach from y'all.
Oh, 100%. And you know, and people don't understand that. Again, that can come back to processes on an animated movie. Let's say 500 people or 700 people are working on this movie together. One change from a director, it takes time even for the director to see that one change, because it has to go all the way through all these people and come all the way back, and then also be, and then here it comes, you know. And to think about games and the way that games move, and you know, pivoting, and what we are dealing with as well in that space, takes time. The technology is also constantly evolving, right?
Of
So
course.
we are on the forefront of something that hasn't been done before. We're, you know, we're laying out the framework, or we're helping define a framework through our trials and tribulations, right? You know, we're going to fail more, but we're also going to just get right back up and fix it, right? And understand. So, you know, there's a, you know, we stick with the vision, we deploy, we test, we get the feedback, we iterate. Boom, boom, boom. You know, that's how it is. And we listen to the community a lot, and we've always done that from day dot. So they have a huge impact on where the ship is being steered.
I love it.
But
So
yeah, so like, yeah, all these amazing components. But one of my favorite things is I want to, again, enhance that emotional attachment between user and horse, like creating some experiences through immersive technologies like virtual reality or augmented reality to kind of bring you closer. Because when you talk to real world horse owners, it's not they're not excited about the racetrack as much as they are when they're
Animal.
watching, yeah, the animal itself, that connection. So that's something that's really like, it's scary, right? But can I make, or can we make a Zed horse feel alive? Can somebody really fall in love with their Zed horse, right? And again, it's a Tamagotchi 10.0, I call it. You know, people laughed and cried when this thing in their pocket died, or
Mhm.
when it survived. This is the next level with emerging technologies, and this kind of agency and fidelity that we can actually play with. So
This was exactly what I was this is exactly what I was going to ask about. And I do want to touch on community, and I know we're running way over
yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
I
yeah,
want
yeah. Go.
to so with this, like with getting the emotional tie-in, obviously that's critical. Like we're not going to get to the point where we need to get to if this isn't real for us, as like real human emotion on something that you cannot physically, in the physical world, pick up and touch. Like this mouse, like
Mm,
I can
mm.
pick up and touch this mouse, I feel it. So, how do you create that emotional connection with
Um,
a digital thing like that?
Yeah, I think this needs to be some research behind it, to be honest, and a lot of trial and testing. Like I don't have the answer. I have ideas, and I think these new technologies can help us get there. Like again, VR is a really good. I mean, some people they say it's a cliche, but I always say when people say it's a cliche, there's a reason why it's a cliche, because people say it a lot and because it's real, right? So
Right.
I kind of flip it. Cliche is not a bad thing, but it's an empathy machine, right? It's the true, you step into a space and you're there, right? And if it's done really well and you're standing there with your horse in a stable and you're now able to walk around it and like pat it, stroke it, prepare it for a race, even even stuff like wash it down, like we were just talking about earlier, like having these shaders where if you don't visit your horse, it gets dirtier and dirtier on the track. So now you actually are forced to jump in and actually go and have a moment where you're treating it like, it's gimmicky stuff, right? And it's stuff that some people go, that's
It's
silly.
real.
But
No, 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 it's
yeah, yeah,
real.
yeah. I know. But when you do it, the mind is so easy to trick. Like we are very simple, and this is something I learned very early on, or in my years at the university working with VR projects. It's like our senses, our five senses. That's it. Smell, feel, taste, hear, see, right? And that's all you got to do to trick a human mind, right? And you can, with VR, you can see, with haptics, you can feel haptic feedback. There's gloves, there's just the remote controls that vibrate. It gives you that sense of agency, right? There's vests you can put on. We did stuff with smell machines just to kind of see if that, like we had the Resident Evil PlayStation game, and I don't know if you played the VR game, but you're sitting at the table and there's like rotting meat around, and we did a experience where you did that,
Oh,
and it was just like, it enhanced it like tenfold, man. Like you were there all of a
oh,
sudden, and then listening, like it's all there. Taste is the next one, so you can curate things where you sit, and then when you eat, somebody's ready there to feed you, right? Like you can fake the mind, but that's it, right? And that's kind of the essence of, shout out to Matrix, right? I think
totally.
Morpheus, he quotes saying that if you can touch it, blah 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 blah, what is reality, right? I just totally ruined that quote, but you
No,
you
no,
can
we
watch
get
the
it.
movie.
We get it.
You get it
Clearly,
exactly. So
clearly, we're all Matrix fans here. That's a
hey,
given.
we could be living in it.
Totally, we
I'm not
really
gonna
could.
lie.
So,
Yeah,
so I do have a question on that. We're engaging the senses now. That's coming. Like clearly, that's
yeah.
just a matter of when, not if.
Whoop.
But for the deeper connection, one of my theories on that is there has to be a story to it, and you have to be able to buy in emotionally to that story.
Yeah,
Obviously, you've worked with and are, some of the and one of the greatest
yeah,
storytellers of all time. Like that's,
yeah.
that's what film is. That's what the whole creative industry is I think is, the art of telling a really great story. Is that a fundamental piece, do you think?
I think so. It is something that I'm working on in the backgrounds, and something that I've been hinting at, or the team has been hinting at. So we have created a lore, which is, Zed exists in a parallel universe to ours. It sits in using quantum physics, much like Spider-Verse or Rick and Morty. We can travel through parallel universes, right? And in this parallel universes, there's an Earth much like ours called Novus Earth, and there's a whole backstory and a lore to that we will be sharing. It's just not been a priority yet. because you got to also think about, we got to position ourselves, once we open up story and lore, now we're attracting more users. And are we in a position yet, like, be critical of Zed, are we ready for this kind of mass adoption and onboarding right now? The answer is no, we're not.
Mhm.
And so we need a position. That's one of our main focuses in the next quarter or in the next year, is to kind of really position
Prepare.
onboarding, prepare, so then we can go mass market, right?
Nice.
And so part of that will be the lore, because it's going to attract, believability and usability. And what I love about it, so we've tested the waters with lore in the past, and people love it, right? And it's great because we can do some amazing concepts. We've got creative teams. We're storytellers at heart, and I'm a big believer that story is king. Whether you're, again, we could go down a whole different talk about what religion means to people, and hope and story, and how that's created societies and rules that we live by today, right? And
Totally.
that comes from a story, right? And so I believe the story's king. I think it's an important piece of the puzzle for sure. It's something that is brewing in the background. So I'm really actually happy that you asked about it, because I'm very passionate about that as well. But because what it plays into as well with the technologies, Ben, is like, if we establish that Novus is real, Novus Earth is in a different timeline. So now virtual reality to me is a time machine. I can now jump in and I can go portal myself into Novus Earth, and I'm in my stable in Novus Earth, or at the racetrack, or even walking down a street in an environment, uncovering a bit of this lore and how to. And now we can create some more really entertaining, engaging, emotional, connecting experiences that bring this world to life. And then reversely, augmented reality and mixed reality, that's taking a portal, taking a horse and teleporting it into our space here today. So blending the two. And it's something that at Virtually Human, and we're very bullish on, is that we're like, we look at ourselves as the future of digital entertainment, and how do we fuse the digital world and the real world without losing one to the other. And to the point of the metaverse, where what I'd like to say is, the metaverse isn't going to be fully digital. The metaverse needs humans to create in there, but also to be agents in there, have agency. And we don't want to just put people in VR or on a screen playing video games all the time. We are actually going to embrace bringing the digital into our space as well. So there is a nice interconnection, right? And that's what this Apple Play with the glasses is going to be. And that's what augmented and mixed reality do really well, is it keeps you grounded in our real world while embracing the digital. And so there's going to be room for everything, just like there is with theater and movies and VR and whatever, right? There's always space for all these different disciplines, but it's important that it's just not one, right? It's going to be this option, variable option, depending on what you want and what kind of experience you want. So
what a freaking beautiful future. What a beautiful future.
Yeah,
dude,
yeah.
You inspired in my mind this thought of like, because I'm still kind of stuck a little bit on this emotional buy-in, and for it to become really real. And like, what popped into my mind is, with the story, I didn't even realize all the deeper lore that was coming.
No.
To me, what I thought originally was, okay, let's say you have a dad, and he wants to have a horse or an animal that he gets for and raises for his daughter. And so he is now like, he's emotionally attached to this horse, and he can like, help create lore for that horse. That horse could be a special horse in the greater metaverse, and it has a backstory, it has a history. And think of the stories that he can create for his daughter, that then 20 years down the road, she's going to have this priceless, like, digital family heirloom that is not only a financial powerhouse, but also has true
Story.
meaning and story.
It's part of the family, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, part of the family. And again, and through what we're already getting and we're seeing early on, is people are connected to their horses. Like, some of these horses have Twitter feeds, man. Like, they have their own social identity feeds and are talking shit out there, which is so dope, right? Because there are some really killer horses. Like, there are names like Steph Curry, Supreme Polarity, Billions. There's all these names. out there of these big racing horses. Zombie Boy was one that was kicking ass for a while, and so people are talking about it, right? Even the community right now. I mean, we're still small. Like, let's not get it twisted, right? We're still what, 40,000 users, and I think it was 110 in Discord, 110,000, right, or whatnot. I haven't checked for a while, but we're still relatively small. But even in that community, there's names being popped up and legends being born and made, and those stories will be like the legends of Novus, and they'll kind of live on. And that's something that we're also going to tie into this story world. We're going to base it on horses that are racing the tracks and stables. So if you actually go and look at some of our earlier tweets and concept, you have to go back a bit. You'll see that there are some concepts out there where we've taken stable owners' brands and put them into the concept, just to kind of hint at this world that's coming and what's possible. That, you know, what happens here is going to be echoed on Novus Earth as well. So yeah,
love that. Dude,
there's
I'm
a lot of
so
potential.
excited for the future. This is going to be magical.
Yeah, me too.
So
me too. There is a responsibility that we have, though, and I'd like to end, maybe not, we don't have to end, but I'd like to just at least share that note, is that we got to be responsible with what we create as creators for this metaverse as well. And you know, there's balance in life. So like we we're talking about, you can be passionate 5 days a week and really enjoy your work. I think it's important on the weekend, then you do something that's different, that kind of makes you want to come back on Monday, but also, you know, gets you outdoors, maybe, whatever the case may be.
Totally.
But there's definitely a responsibility for all the creators that are creating this new space, because it's, while it's exciting, it's also, it can easily be scary as well. So I think we just got to be, we just got to be aware.
Awesome. Well, Chris, on that note, I couldn't think of a better one to I would say to pause on for now, because hopefully we can, you know, hopefully you'll come back on the show at a later date.
Yeah.
We can talk about the progress and dive more deeply into this.
That'd be dope, man.
This has been truly eye-opening. Yeah, I didn't realize like how deeply you really thought about all this stuff. Like I assumed, because of, you know, the amazing things you're doing out there, that, you know, I can see it just in the market, but to really like dive into this, really like understand it from a creative, from a human perspective, you know, like really, like, I feel like we've completely divin. Yeah, we've divin into the humanity behind the technology, which is totally awesome. So
and that's
thank
important.
you very much for going there with me.
Ben, thanks for having me, and thanks for letting me share my story and our story, the ZED Run and Virtually Human story. So we really appreciate it.
Well, you're the man, Chris. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Good luck.
Everybody watching and listening. I love y'all. Game on. See you on the next episode.
Peace.